Shuckalaka kapow. How's it going, old schoolers? You're kicking it old school with Russell JS, and I am your host, Russell JS. I got another album versus album, well, CD versus CD, track by track. One is a greatest hits, the other's a best of. Two of the biggest names in hard rock that come out of the 1970s. Now, why is it that I'm doing best of albums? Well, think about like a best of or a greatest hits. Back in the 70s, artists were selling albums in the millions. Like there was a thing, like where an artist or artists, a band, like the first three records didn't sell very well, but their concert tour, their concert performance was, the whole talk of the town, like Kiss, Black Sabbath, Peter Frampton. I mean, like all these guys, they were, Van Halen, they were selling out arenas. They had they were competing against who had the best, rock show. I mean, Kiss had the makeup and the big giant, pyrotechnics and the levitating drum kit and smoking guitars and blood spitting in the makeup and platform boots. And Blue Oyster Cult had the pyro, the five-man guitar attack, the laser show, Godzilla, over the drum riser. I mean, it was a sea. When it came to hard rock and metal, it was a sea of who had the greatest rock show on earth. But I decided, and plus, best of and greatest hits album, you see, like a lot of these artists and a lot of these bands, they basically, were just exhausted and burned out from, because some of these guys, their careers, they've got their first record deal, like say 72, 71, 72, 73, and they recorded their first album and it got released and they were touring in support of the record. And while they were on the road, they had to go ahead and they had to write new songs or get, or take some songs that didn't make the first album to put on the second album, and then write some more, find studio time while they were on tour when they were taking breaks. I mean, those guys hardly got a break. They hardly were able to enjoy the fruit, of what they were creating. And it led to the booze, the drugs, the whole thing about sex, drugs, and rock and roll. And and a lot of these bands were notorious for it too, the whole sex, drugs, and rock and roll. And two of the groups that I'm showcasing their best of albums. Now, these albums, they become like a beginner guide for somebody who's, just getting into the artist. It's like a beginner guide, so you know what you're getting into, like say Kiss Double Platinum or Best of the Doors, or what is it? Cheap Trick Authorized Greatest Hits. Like you were getting an introduction to where if you hear the one song that you like, then you listen to a plethora of great hits that they put out in the last few years off a few other albums. So the greatest hits album or the best of album, it wasn't really the best as it was sold, because they would leave out cuts that were hits, but they were just putting the whole thing together at the last minute because they did have contractual agreements with record companies that they had to put out an album, so they got lazy and said, okay, let's get some of the hits, throw them on one record, and we'll make a greatest hits album. It'll still sell. The record company will be happy, and we'll be happy, and we can maybe take a break. Now, the two compilations that I am going to showcase in this album battle royale: Aerosmith's Greatest Hits, released in 1980. The Bad Boys of Boston. Stephen, Joe, Brad, Tom, Joey. And the Nuge, the Motor City Madman. One of Donald Trump's biggest supporters, Ted Nugent, Great Gonzo's the very best of Ted Nugent. Now, this copy right here of Great Gonzo's, the original copy, just like Aerosmith's Greatest Hits, it had only 10 tracks on it, and the Nuge, he decided after he reissued this that he was going to add 3 more, but you know what? I'm not going to include the 3 tracks. I'm going to do this fair and square. Originally, both these albums were released in 1980, and they were pretty much with Sony Records. You know, like Epic was part of Sony and Columbia is part of Sony, so they were part of the Sony family and under the same management. So we're going to go ahead and do this fairly. So without further ado, let's see how these bad Oscars rank up, shall we? And remember, if you're new to the channel, hit a like, subscribe, leave comments down in the box down below. Ring the bell for notifications for future videos to come. And also, I don't know who's going to win this battle royale. Odds are it could be Aerosmith. It could be Ted Nugent. We don't know yet. It's a stroke of fate. I mean, I love both these greatest hits albums. I mean, anytime I do a track by track, you know, majority of the time lately, it's because I love both the albums, but one wins against the other. But without further ado, let's get this bad Oscar rolling, shall we? All right, in the case of Aerosmith's Greatest Hits versus the best of Ted Nugent, Great Gonzo's, we got Dream On going against Cat Scratch Fever. I love Dream On and I love Cat Scratch Fever, but you know what? I love Dream On more, so that gets a point. Same Old Song and Dance. Oh man, goes up against Just What the Doctor Ordered. Ooh. God. Let's see. I don't have a quarter with me, so I got to figure this out because I love both these tracks. I mean, I love the raunchy bluesy style of Joe and Brad on Same Old Song and Dance with Steven Tyler's vocals taking, you know, center stage, but just how great Derek St. Holmes' voice lead vocals are on Just What the Doctor Ordered, and how clean and tight that beginning riff sounds. You know what? Ooh, this is gonna hurt. This is gonna kill me. I'm giving the point to Just What the Doctor Ordered. Sweet Emotion versus Free For All. I love the song Sweet Emotion, and I like Free For All, but the thing is, this is the 45 version of Sweet Emotion. I don't care for it much because you don't have that sexy, jazzy bass going and the talk box going with Joe. So, therefore, Free For All gets that. Walk This Way versus Dog Eat Dog. Walk This Way, easily I'm going with Dog Eat Dog, because Walk This Way, when it comes to Aerosmith, that track is constantly played on radio. I mean, it's one of the #1 tracks by them that, you know, I mean, Aerosmith has a plethora of hits from their 50-plus year career, but the main one, other than Dream On and Sweet Emotion, that they constantly play is Walk This Way. Last Child versus Motor City Madhouse. I like Last Child, but easily I gotta go with Motor City Madhouse. I mean, it's raunchy, it's fast, and it's, you know, it's wild. I mean, Last Child, I like listening to that when I'm in like a laid back kind of mood, but I'm going with Motor City Madhouse. Back in the Saddle versus Paralyzed. Oh boy. You know what? Paralyzed is great, but I love Back in the Saddle, so there we go. Draw the Line versus Stranglehold. I like Draw the Line, but you know what? I like Stranglehold better. Kings and Queens versus Baby Please Don't Go. It's a cover song. You know, Baby Please Don't Go. I mean, I've heard everybody from not just Aerosmith, but from AC/DC to Tom Petty, just cover that tune. So I'm going with Kings and Queens. Come Together versus Wango Tango, yet another cover of a cover by the Beatles. Probably the Beatles' most famous track, especially off one of their most biggest selling albums, Abbey Road. I like the song, but it's like how many more times? Again, that's another cover song that everybody and their grandson has covered. So I'm going with Wango Tango. And now here we are at the bottom of the list. Remember Walking in the Sand versus Wang Dang Sweet Poontang. I am going with Wang Dang Sweet Poontang because Remember Walking in the Sand, this is a cover song where the band at that point is getting lazy. Now they did, yeah, but I'm not saying anything bad about Come Together. It's because they covered it for the movie Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band in '78. It never appeared. I don't think it ever appeared on any Aerosmith album to date. So, like this song, I know it's some late 50s, early 60s kind of tune. And I think they were lazy at the time. Joe Perry was ready to leave the band, because of, the band was burned out. So I'm going with the Wang Dang Sweet Poontang. Now here's the results of the score. You got Aerosmith Greatest Hits with 3 points. Best of Ted Nugent with 7 points. So that means yep. You see it here. Ted Nugent, winner. Now, I've got some more videos in the works. I'm still saddened over the death of YouTube vlogger Adam the Woo. Like I found out that yesterday he was laid to rest by his family in St. Cloud, Florida. And they cleared all the stuff from his house in Celebration, Florida, all his Christmas decorations and all the memorials that fans left at the front door. I mean, I heard that HOA was really getting uptight about that. But I'm still like everybody else. I'm still feeling the loss. I'm still hurting by it. I mean, sure, I never met the guy, but that doesn't mean, as a fan, I can't be hurt. I can't feel hurt about it. I mean, he was like that guy. You were with him on every one of his adventures that he did. He was like your best friend or your brother. And, it's like he enjoyed doing what he did. And he had plans for 2026. Unfortunately, those plans got cut short due to him leaving this world. And I don't think, considering he is a pioneer in the whole vlogging community, he was the first one. He didn't care. He was the first one ever to go out there and go, oh, look at this, look at that. And go on, go to, to like abandoned places and theme parks. I mean, comic book conventions, movie conventions. He got to meet some cool people. I mean, there's even a video where he's at a convention where Tom Wilson, who played Biff Tannen in Back to the Future, grabbed his phone. He's going, ha, I got Adam the Woo's phone. I mean, Adam had fun doing what he did, and I respect the man for it. And I don't know, I might just go ahead and make a pilgrimage, considering I live in Florida and I live 3 hours away from Central Florida where Disney World is at. I might make the pilgrimage and go visit his grave and pay my respects to him. I mean, he's one out of quite a few of, vloggers that are on YouTube where if it hadn't been for them, I wouldn't be doing this. And, heck, I started just one time I reviewed, when Basic Fun was releasing their little mini arcades, and I never thought I'd make another video, and here I am. I mean, when they kind of discontinued Basic Fun and kind of brought them back, and they stopped selling them at retail stores. I remember thinking to myself, how am I going to create content? And, Adam pretty much gave me that inspiration not to give up on what you love. Keep showing what you love. And you know what? Sure, it's been almost 10 years and I only got 176 of you subscribers. But you know what? I'm still appreciative of that. I mean, I can't begin to I can't even begin to tell you how grateful I am to you and how appreciative I am towards you. And, I'm hoping to where I could get 100,000 subscribers and, maybe I could start a spreadsheet, start making, I've even considered going down to an arts and crafts store to get a drawing pad and maybe, do some rough sketches for like a logo or something where I can make t-shirts, hats, bumper stickers, coffee mugs, adult sippy cups, like those water bottles, things like that. And I'd love to do something like that, get a PayPal started up and have like an online store where you could buy merch. And, the sky's the limit. And that's one thing that's great about YouTube. Anybody who ever wanted to be famous is now on YouTube and they're getting their wish. This is the new form of entertainment right here. People are hardly going to the movies anymore. People are hardly watching television, whatever have you. Everything and everything is right here in the palm of your hand on YouTube. And seriously, I thank you from the bottom of my heart for everything. I know some of you don't, some of the times you don't comment in the boxes. I encourage it. But, hey, I appreciate the fact I look at the views on the videos and I think to myself, wow, I'm seeing where people are viewing. I've got viewers, I got like, say 4% of viewers overseas in the United Kingdom and 3% in Japan. And I'm thinking to myself, wow, I actually got people in England and Japan watching me. And I'm just a regular guy that, one day wanted to have fun making videos, But at any rate, that's going to do it for this video. And I encourage you, if you're new, feel free to hit the like, subscribe, give me your feedback in the comments box. Don't be too harsh. Don't be too negative. Tell all your friends and family, everybody and anybody And remember, keep it real, keep it fresh, keep it chill, keep it, get you enough of love, get you enough of peace, get you enough of tranquility, get you enough of anything you truly desire in the heart, get you enough of less drama, get you enough of no drama, get you enough of less chaos, get you enough of no chaos. And as always, keep listening to old school music, keep watching old school movies, keep watching old school TV, play some old school video games, read some old school books, and, Godspeed. May the force be with you always. And, think about this. Wouldn't you love to sport a t-shirt that says, get you enough? Or, or any of my other phrases, which I'm about to end the video with, shakalaka kapow!